Welcome to part two. We're joined by Anthony from Mexico, originally London. How are you doing, Anthony?
Very good, Mr. Porky. How are you?
I'm all right. We'll go straight in then. Where's boxing heading with this Turkey and Dana White team up? Now that we've had time for the dust to settle, where do you see it heading?
Good question. I think that it's up in the air. I'll tell you why I think it's up in the air. You saw the leak that we had of the supposed pay brackets from TKO, which Turkey then came out and said that it's inaccurate, right?
Yeah.
What that tells me is they're looking to build from the base up because that type of pay structure wouldn't attract people that are established stars or whatever. The way they take those over is that they either buy the companies that own their contracts or they wait for them to retire and have the people that they've then developed in their boxing promotion stroke league to then come up. My view is I don't even think they know. And the reason I don't think my view on it is this. I actually think that those figures are probably quite accurate and it's been deliberately leaked so that Turkey could gain and Dana White can gain a reaction so that and I know if you're planning something, you don't etch it in stone and then just put it out there because in the end you're trying to sell a product. And when you try to sell a product, there's only so much you can do to make that person buy. Somebody has got to have a little bit of a desire for that product, right? And so in my opinion, what they've done is that they've pitched something out there to see what the reaction is. So people say, oh, it's too low and this and that and the other. They'll say, okay, we might adjust it a bit. My view is that if you're looking at stars that don't have a high profile, it's actually quite good money because there are a lot of world champions that aren't getting 750 per fight, isn't there, Porky? Right? Everybody in boxing seems to think that every single boxing world champion is on the millions that Usyk gets, or is on the millions that Shakur Stevenson gets, or Tank Davis gets. That is less than 1% of all boxers. It's probably less than 0.5% of all boxers that get that. So my view is that they've stated an intention. The cat's out the bag, as they say, and what they're going to do is they're going to plot and react as they go along. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, and as I said, they don't know. The funny thing is, are they going to cause all the other promoters to come together and work as fake mates, or is boxing going to do what it usually does and everybody gets consumed by their own self-interest? I don't know, but it's a very, very interesting times, all right? And the problem that we have is that is boxing broken? I absolutely say yes, it is broken, right? But is what they're going to doing or they're attempting to do fix it? I don't know. I don't know if you actually can get a full solution to the way boxing is because it's been like that for so long. It's not a new sport like UFC that Dana White was able to mold in his own image. Do you understand? Because it was basically nothing. Whereas boxing has always been around. It's been around for hundreds of years. There's always been dodgy people around it. There's always been fixed fights. There's always been skullduggery behind the scenes. Are you ever going to change that? By centralizing power? Not really. I don't think so. I'll tell you who I'll be interested to hear about it. Your mate Terry.
Terry C. Terry Char.
Yes. Yep. I'd love to hear what he's there because that's what I'm saying, Paul. Remember we said about sort of doing three-way discussions of that. I'd love to get
You
sort of
can't
people
pin all
like,
these lot down who'll come on here at the same time. It'd be a disaster, Anthony, an
oh,
absolute
would it? Okay,
disaster.
okay.
Oh, yeah,
But yeah,
try,
I'd
mate.
love I'd
It'd be
love
mad.
to have people like Terry and Bob, and that, maybe if we pulled out all stops and have one special
Well,
thing. But
maybe we
anyway,
could, but
the bottom line is
yeah.
that Terry knows a lot more about boxing than me, and
Oh,
he knows a lot more about the behind the scenes things that goes on.
well,
So
he's picking it in. He's trained amateurs that have gone on to be pros and stayed mates with him, and
yeah,
he's been a
so
fan
he will
himself.
know what it is. But did he actually ever say, Porky, whether he thought those figures were real or not? I don't know because
What
I
figures?
didn't. The figures that TKO leaked for their
Can't
champions.
remember. I can't remember. But I looked at it and I thought, well, they're not paying anybody, and I think them figures were just maybe what they give him on UFC, and they're trying to get the same pay structure to boxing. Because I looked at them and I thought, wow, they're not as good as what people have been saying, are they?
No, they're not as good.
Which
And
brings me to my
like,
next question. Do you
go
feel
on.
that Dana and Turkey, if that's their pay structure, if it is, they will be also rans, just like the rest?
Good question, Porky. Let me think about
Promoters
that.
wise, that is,
Yeah,
like
yeah, 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 yeah. I would say yes. I'll tell you why I would say yes.
they're not going to dominate with them purses, are they?
No. And the thing is that the problem that they've got is the historical purses that the top boxers have been paid in boxing. Come on, let's have it right. Remember the 87 fight with Hagler Hearns? Not Hagler Hearns, what am I talking about? Hagler Leonard, right? The amount of money they were making back then, right? I can't remember, but if you put in inflation and whatever for that, they were making 20, 30 million each in today's money as middleweights. They
Hmm.
weren't even heavyweights as middleweights. And the point is that every boxer knows, and the internet allows people to have the information of historically what boxers made. So you have got people coming into boxing who are probably going to overestimate their talent, but what they're after is the big paydays. And at some point, Dana and Turkey have to deliver that in a structured way.
Yeah.
And I don't think saying, oh, if you're this level, you get that. If you're this level, you get that. Who does the rankings? Is it them?
Well, they're going to
Right?
put their own people to top who they want to manipulate
Correct.
it, aren't they?
Correct.
This is
But
where
I
the
would say,
Muhammad Ali Act comes in. There's too
correct.
much of a conflict of interest, isn't there? If they're owning magazines, if they're owning magazines with ranking, ring magazines. So they own magazine, they own the rankings. They've got a TV platform.
Yep.
Basically, it's all heading towards them getting rid of the Muhammad Ali Act so they can dominate like UFC. That's how it looks to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Basically, what they've done is that they own the ecosystem, right?
There you
It's
go.
a bit like what the Carnegies did in the in America, where they owned the railroad system, right? And became some of the first billionaires, right? Standard Oil is another one, which the Rockefeller family owned, and they in the end ended up breaking that up. The problem that you've got is that if somebody owns all those different aspects of the fight game, the fighters themselves, who should be the most rewarded, become a smaller part of the cog. And from a business point of view, you'd want to pay them the what you can get away with. And I don't think that model works for boxing as it does with the UFC. Because what you find with the UFC, as you well know, is you're getting older UFC fighters all crossing over to make the most money out of boxing. Which then you think, well, hang on a second, I thought UFC is meant to be the ultimate combat sport. Why aren't they getting paid? Right? Not
Yeah.
only that, Dana White has had very serious lawsuits against him for underpayment of fighters, you know? And come on, Porky, both you and I see what happens to people when they get knocked around. You got to pay people for taking that risk, right? I
Okay.
don't think that clever businessmen, should always end up with the thick end of a purse,
Hmm. Yeah. So this Saudi lottery money and all that, or lottery ticket, I think it's
right?
gone now then. The big money for Joshua and Fury and all that. I think them massive, humongous paydays, you think they're gone now and it's going to be a little bit more, well, this is what you're getting, take it or leave it. And do you think that's why Ben Eubank's not in Saudi and we're talking about Joshua's next fight in UK and not Saudi. Do you feel that there maybe might be just Eddie and Frank might just be just dropping off Saudi now and we're looking to consolidate back in UK? In other words, have they come back to UK with a cocks between their legs, yes or no?
Um, I don't think they've got a choice. I'll tell you what I think has happened.
It's a grovel to fans then, don't they? Because
Yeah,
they
what
didn't
I
care
think,
about boxing fans when they were out there loading it up, all of them. They didn't give a
correct.
shit.
Yeah, what I think has happened is that Turkey has given them, their first line. Listen, let's have a look, their first line of Colombian powder, and they've all felt great and whatever. And in order to keep them hooked on it, what he's then done is he's gradually decreased the amount he's giving them. So my view is that Turkey has looked at this, and the Saudis have looked at this and said boxing is a fractured sport that has got worldwide appeal that we can take over. The people that are in there are all snakes and crabs. They're all at each other. So what we can do is come in there because we've got an unlimited pot and we can very quickly be the dominant players. And how they've done that is basically by pricing everybody out of the water to get those fights. And then what they've now done is they haven't pulled the plug as that's your lot. They're gradually pulling the plug so that what they can do is put in the terms that they really want for a long-term domination. That's what I think's going on there, Porky. And what's happened is that the huge paydays and let's have it right, the Warrens, Bricktop, and Eddie Hills, they
Who?
haven't had to do anything for huge amounts of money. And now all of a sudden, the sure thing they've had for the last 2 years doesn't look so sure anymore. So they, in my opinion, they're in a quandary. Do we continue to cooperate and produce a viable
Do
opposition
they
to what's
start
coming?
again or do they jack?
Correct. That's what I think's going on.
Well,
It's a
Hills
very
is looking,
interesting time.
they'll look to bail out because they've had it so easy the last 2 years. Bricktop will stay in boxing because he got no else and he knows he can be dominant without Hills.
Yeah, Bricktop's the survivor, isn't he? Because he built his
It's like a cockroach that could survive a nuclear blast. The only
correct.
things that the only things that can survive a nuclear blast aren't the cockroaches.
Correct. If you
Yeah.
want to, if you got cockroaches and you want to get rid of them, do you know what you do? Get some alcohol, pour it over them, and set them alight. That will kill them. Other than that, they'll survive. Right. And Bricktop's one of them because he was from a poor. Everybody knows Bricktop's history. He's a cousin of Lenny McLean, wasn't he?
So they say, distant cousin.
Right, a distant cousin. Right, but he was doing unauthorized, unlicensed boxing fights and everything else. But the point is, he has seen it through the peaks and the troughs, which Matchroom have never had. Or no, Eddie Hills has never had. And does he have the stomach for it? We'll see. My view is that unless he finds another superstar, he's going to go and concentrate on something else. Because why does he need to? Why does he need to? But my view is that all of the current promoters have got very interesting questions that are being asked by what Turkey and Dana White have done.
Okay.
Very interesting questions.
Okay. Let me get a word in here, Anthony, now, because you're answering questions and then you're asking them.
All right, go on. Sorry, Porky.
You're turning into James. We're only
Am I?
questions. You read Matt Wheelchair.
You know what that is, don't I? We're always talking on the group.
Yeah, no problem. Right. Eddie Hills from Billericay in the blue corner, 7-0. 5 by way of course, but no fucking footage. Right. Eddie Hills and Bricktop, are they going to get back at it and let's have some normality? Because this fake mates thing, Anthony, it's starting to fry my head a little bit. Do you agree?
uh, Porky, it's a good question. In my opinion, they're a stronger force cooperating. But Bricktop is such a volatile and controlling character because he doesn't have to, or he's not getting such a big financial reward for cooperating with Mr. Hills, would he do it? I don't
They won't
know.
give him a leg up, would they? Now Eddie's
No.
going to need a leg up off Bricktop, innit? So
Yeah,
why would
and
he want to give him a leg up when he can dominate and let Eddie piss off?
yeah, you're quite right. One of the things that you've said or I've heard on your channel is that Bricktop's very petty, isn't he? He's always got a vendetta,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
at his age, in his 70s, do lepers change their spots?
You can hardly blame him though, Anthony, because you're dealing with boxers and managers and trainers on a daily basis, and everybody's out to shaft each other, every single body. So you can imagine him thinking, "Well, they're all like this," and it is true. Nearly all of them are. So I can
It,
see where Bricktop's coming from.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they fell back out. And as you say, normal service is then resumed. We'd have to get the popcorn out, wouldn't we?
We have to get
To
some of that, won't we?
yeah,
Okay. Sky Nicholson got beat, right?
right.
Now I said before she fought, God, who's gonna take her belt off her if it goes to points? Hey, I got that wrong, didn't I? I got that wrong. But did you think she got beat, or was she robbed, or what did you make of it, and what did you make of her performance?
Right. Well, unfortunately, I didn't see the fight, Porky, because as I said, it was I was in my George Foreman sort of. I went for walks and things, just thinking about life. So I didn't see the fight. I'm going to go and have a look at the. I'm going to go and have a look at the footage. Um, but
I
I've
thought she
heard the
got beat
reports.
personally. Judges got it
Yeah,
right. So.
I've heard the reports, and funny enough, I was about to watch her boyfriend's response to it, but I fell asleep. Um, I don't know, Porky. I can't answer the question because I haven't seen the fight, but it seems that nobody's screaming robbery, are they? So
Yeah.
if nobody's screaming a robbery, it looks like it was a fair cop.
Maybe they had to give it to other girl because they knew they'd have been under massive pressure if they'd have give it to her, with being his bit of fluff. You think?
Correct. Congratulations to you for bringing that out. Come on, Porky.
Well,
Some of the
everybody
stuff you
know it's
come out
been.
with.
I brought it out 3.5 years ago on here, and everybody said, "Oh, we're making loads of bollocks." So, bit like when Ben Davidson were tapping Wilder up. Bit like what did Andy Lee admit? He tapped Ben Whittaker up.
Right,
Trainers do tap people up. It's been going on for years. Dave Caldwell tapped up Dylan White. Kept
right.
texting, "Oh, I've always respected you, Dylan. Didn't you, Bombay Dave? I've always, when he went with Mark Tibbs, I've always respected you, Dylan. You're a great get fella. If ever you need to talk about everything, you can. You know what I mean? But just make sure it's all right with Tibbo first. Yeah, all that. Well, that's
It's
called tapping up.
yeah. It's the worst thing he did, isn't it, Dylan White? He was winning. He was on a very good win streak with Tibbs,
11 and
and
0. Then went we Xavier Miller and Bombay Dave. And look what happened.
correct,
But a moan.
correct. It all fell off a cliff, didn't it? So
Yeah.
there you have it. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on. I will watch the Nicholson fight, but as I said to you, I had a self-imposed exile for about 36 hours from boxing just to think about life, because as I said, George Foreman is such a feel good or a good time story for boxing.
Oh, an amazing character, George Foreman, isn't he? Absolutely amazing character. You want to go on to part three, Anthony?
I certainly do.
I'll
I
see
will
you on
do
the
that
part
now.
three. Good, mate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Porky.
Well, that was Anthony on part two. Please join us on part three. Uh, like I said later on today, I've got Liam coming on in a three-parter. Jerry in a three-parter, and James in his remapped wheelchair. He's going to tell us all about his latest squeeze that he's been squeezing uh, in a three-parter. So that's 12 for you all today, and that should keep you going until Friday. All right, so make the most of them. Go on then. Have a look. Thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. Hopefully, we'll have Peter DeFreitas on later on this week. Probably Friday. Andy, Kent, if he's got his new iPad. Kent, have you got your iPad yet? So Ryan, there's a few to come back on. Okie doke. Well, peace out. I mean.